phenomenal job. And so we just absolutely appreciate the partnership there. So again, I'm going to welcome you all. And before we get started, I am going to ask that everyone stay muted as we're going through so that we won't have any interruptions on the call, on the platform here. And also, if you have a phone, if you can put it on silent so that it won't ring through, and I have to make sure I do the same. And also, the way that this is going to work is that, we're going to have like opening prayers, and then we're going to go to, I'll call on a couple of people to just give us a really short message about Nina's, and then we're going to dive into the heart of what we're here to do. The way this is going to work today is we're going to have a panel of presenters, and they're going to give you information that kind of starts from the beginning. What really was Nigeria? What did the founding fathers agree to? And then we're going to walk you all the way through the Constitution to what Movement for Nigeria, which is now NINAS, has done to prepare us for a time like this. And then we're going to talk about what you and I are supposed to be doing now to ensure that we get to where we want to get to. Because at the end of the day, it's not governments that rule, it's people. I'll say that again. It's not governments that rule, it's people. So depending on how effective you and I are in rising up the masses, so that they take back that power that NINAS has taken, that's going to be the determining factor. That's the secret sauce. You are the secret sauce. I am the secret sauce. Don't get it twisted, as they say in the US. Power belongs to the people, and we're taking it back. So, welcome again. And I see a lot more people are joining in. So I am going to call on one of the pastors. Let me see what pastor I see here to give us a quick prayer, and then we will be off and running. So I'm going to go ahead and call on Pastor Samuel, just because I can see him. So Pastor Samuel, if you can unmute and just give us a very short prayer, so that, because one thing is important, and Tony and Nadi was asked this question: why does it seem like our people are just muddling and not waking up? And he had to say, yes, there is a spiritual element to this battle. There is a spiritual element, but we know that light always beats out darkness. So Reverend Samuel, if you could please lead us in the opening prayer, that would be awesome. Again,
all right. Thank you very much. Let us pray. Father, we are here to seek for the betterment and the way forward for ourselves, for our nation, for the people of Nigeria. Lord, when we read the scriptures, you are pained and unhappy when you see injustice, unrighteousness, and wickedness, even that which has permeated the whole of Nigeria as a country. Lord, we cry unto you as we meet, as we deliberate, as we discuss. We ask for wisdom. We ask for practical wisdom. Lord, we ask for strategy. We ask for boldness and for courage and for truth. Father, I commit and commend each of us in this meeting into your hands. Those already here and those who will join, that, Lord, you grant us a headway, and let all discussion be profitable to the glory of your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen, amen, and amen. Okay, so now we're actually going to get into what we're doing, but I'm going to call on the Elder Babayemi. I see that he's just joined us, and he is part of the Ilana Omodua team, his Ninas, Ilana Omodua. And I'm just going to call on him quickly just to give us a little bit of his thoughts on Ninas for just, a minute or two so that you can see how passionate the people in this movement are. So, Elda Babayemi, I can see you. Looks like you're in the darkness, but that's okay. If you can unmute and just give us a quick word of encouragement about, how things are going in the Southwest and what you guys are doing.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Hello. Good evening, everyone.
We can hear you. We can hear you. Everyone is on mute, so we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just coming in and there's no light, so I just stayed in my car to join the meeting immediately. Yeah. In the Southwest, beginning from Lagos, people are actually busy working and politicians are actually generating activities. They are generating activities as such as are beginning to create confusion for the people. And of course, we shouldn't be surprised that the politicians, as restless ever as they cannot listen and reason with Nina's focus. Reason for which they are coming up with different formulations regarding restructuring. And they are beginning to present activities that look like it's having some solution which are not necessarily having solutions. Even the land of the Yorubas group, all these different Yoruba, there is so much of confusion as to what direction actually can bring lasting solutions. One specifically I will make is the agitation for the actualization of the Odua nation. The actualization for the Odua nation, which is independent, completely independent from the present Nigeria existence, is a picture of a miniature existence of the core western part of the country, which is not Nina's pursuit. And as exciting as that one appears to several people, you see a lot of people who are saying, yes, that's the direction. That's the way we should go. But carefully studying what they are coming up with is not a departure from 1999 Constitution, which we only resort to the same problem, prolonging our days in slavery. So the same reason, of course, that Ninas have to proactively make people to become fully aware of the activities. And then in a very short means of stepping into these different communities, of means of reaching the grassroots, the people, the youth, the market women, the trade union, with simple information of where we are going and the benefit of where we are going. And where we are going starts from making them to understand the need not to respond to politicians' beckons, which is saying, please, let it go. Let's go into this 2023 election and we will resolve everything. Because they are already beginning to respond to restructuring. And restructuring that is resting on 1999 Constitution is no solution kind of focus for us. The same reason for the groups we have actually spoken with, the same reason that is actually taking me into the core West, beginning from tomorrow, to begin to see some key people and to show them and interpret Nina's focus to them and the need. Number one, to make people, to see reason not to respond to politicians' beckons and not to participate in any form of referendum. There's a particular one they call June 12th. They call it referendum, but we have carefully studied, we discover it's just an opinion poll. But people are responding to it as if it's a referendum. It is not. It's an opinion poll resting, of course, anytime you mention June 12th, it's a thing that is actually appealing to the sentiment of the people in the West, whereby the election that was annulled, MQ Abiola election that was annulled, is still having some sentiment. And anything resting on June 12th seems to be appealing to the sensibility of the core Westerners. So now, that is the reason why they are initiating that, which is not going to be helpful. So the more reason that NINA's activities needs to be made popular, and the people need to understand the focus and the benefit in it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That was awesome. I know I put you on the spot, and I'm going to put somebody else on the spot. I'm going to have Honorable Ogaraku.
Okay.
I see you somewhere. At least I did. Going to unmute you. If you can just going to say a little bit of, give us a little bit of, Johnny, do you see him? Oh, there he is. I see him. If you can give us just a 1 minute, 2 minute speech, that would be awesome. Honorable Ogaraku has been doing a lot of work with recruiting and just really sensitizing leaders for NINAs. And so I just wanted him to say a couple of words, and then we'll dive right into it. Johnny, are you ready with the videos?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Moderator Jean, thank you for the privilege, and thank you everybody who has left every other important things you have today to be here, to be part of this great movement. Yes, they say it takes a village to train a child, and for us to be able to get all this to a very clear line, there is need for a kind of collaboration, the type we have, the type NINAS has created. As you all may know, the idea of NINAS did not start today. It is a transformation from different processes, and that's how kind of political or social movement goes, because when circumstances comes, you have to align to be able to win. Yeah, from the time, from 1979, when the 1999 Constitution came to play, all the institutions, from the legal framework to political framework, to even economic framework knew the ills that is in this Constitution. But definitely, it's not something you can easily change overnight. Even some people will say, okay, let us join politics, and then we will change it within the parliament, within the Senate and the houses of assembly. But many people didn't know that when something is wrong from the foundation, you can do little or nothing to change it. The only way to solve it is to change the foundation. However, you knew it, the way Nigeria is currently structured, that the National Assembly can't even change any of these foundations. They will continue to amend, think of amending and amending. When you continue to amend on a wrong foundation, you are bound to have issues. And because so far the problem is coming from the root, it will continue to affect the fruit and the result. So for a very long time, we've been fighting different ways. Middle Belt, Niger Delta, Yoruba, just like we are talking of June 12th, they are part of deniers that people are having. We talk of civil war, it's part of the deniers. We talk of Niger Delta, amnesty, this or that. They are all part of deniers, all created by this fraudulent constitution. The only way to go out of it is to come back to this table. And what is wrong in coming back to a table? Whenever you have issue, whenever you have agreement, and at the time there's issue, you have to come back to the table and discuss it. What's the problem about it? And if you can see what is in circulation in most part of the areas, India was accumulated with what we may call India, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, all this, put them all together. At the time when it couldn't work, what did they do? They come to the table and then get some arrangement, and it's working for them. Because when you mix up too many cultures, too many civilizations, too many understandings, too many ways of life, it cannot work. Either you have a kind of confederated arrangement where some people have some liberty of doing what they want to do in a given space. If you want to mix it, it cannot work. Our people used to say that oil and water cannot work together. We have a different cultural relation. Thank you very much, and belief, and this affects our relationship. We need to talk about it, please. Thank you very much, brothers, and thanks for coming.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Ogaraka, for all the work that you have been doing, and welcome everyone that is from the Lower Niger Bloc, that is the Southeast and South South. You guys are welcome. We've had quite a history together, and one thing to remember is that the future is incredibly bright in that federation, because it's going to be built on the foundation of mutual respect, where people with ethnic nationalities, the many ethnic nationalities, will retain their identities, and we will work together. And let me even just tell you something. Just the name Ninas is a huge step forward. It's the solution to the land that we're in. If you look around you for all of these meetings, you would see a representation from the Middle Belt to the South every time. When you look at the presenters, same thing. We are already building a bond, a strong bond that's going to keep us together. And that's the bond that it doesn't matter what they try to do to break. You heard what Elder Baba Yemi had to say. They're going to try to break it. But as long as we continue this pattern as operating together, they have already failed. And so I just encourage everyone to keep that in mind, because there have been so many lies about our history, and they've been retold and sent out. But you have to remember this: every single time is a reflection of that alliance from the Middle Belt to the South. So we are going to dive right into it, and we're going to, I'm going to do a check with Johnny and see if he has the Amada Bello video ready. He's saying no, or the Danjuma video ready. Okay, whichever one that you have ready, let's just go with that, okay? And then once that is done, we're actually going to have Johnny that's going to talk to us about what was Nigeria before all of this mess, okay? Because that's an important lesson for us to know. Because when we hear what's coming out of the government, when we hear what's coming out of those who want to stay in one Nigeria, which is actually 1/4 Nigeria, okay, less than a quarter, but I'll just say it's a quarter Nigeria. You understand why that doesn't make sense, and why that's not what the people, you and I, our parents, their parents, agreed to. So Johnny, over to you.
Every one of us must rise up. The armed forces are not neutral. They collude. They collude. They collude with the armed bandits. They kill people, kill Nigerians. They facilitate their movements. They cover them. If you are depending on the armed forces to stop the killings, you will all die one by one.
Okay, so now Johnny, you are welcome, Johnny Nasike, if you can give us your expert presentation on what Nigeria really was and what it was designed to be, so that we could coexist peacefully. You just have to stop sharing your screen. Johnny, if you can stop sharing your screen, and then you can get started. Johnny, talk to me. You haven't, okay, there we go. Okay, go ahead, Johnny. We are not hearing you yet. Okay, let me just see what might be the. Okay, while we are waiting to have him get started, I'll just talk about how the process is going to go. So we're going to have about a 3 to 4, and in the case of the Constitution, it's going to be a little longer conversation. And then after that, we'll take just a couple of questions so that things are fresh in your mind. And then we'll go on to the next question, and then we'll take a couple of questions. If you have questions, you can post it in the chat, and we can start responding to it there as well. Okay, so Johnny, are you ready? Is your volume okay? Can you say something? Because we haven't been able to hear you. We still can't hear you. You have to on your volume, you have to look at your volume and on exit. Still can't hear you. You need to look at your computer volume and take off the X so that we can hear you. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we're on. Thank you very much.
Oh,
welcome.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Njenje Media. Thank you, Jen. Doing a great job, Jen. Thank you to all the speakers who have spoken already, and thank you to everyone gathered here today in the WhatsApp platform, as well as all the other platforms that are streaming this live. We're going to talk about the history, how we got here. Nigeria became an independent nation in 1960. Prior to that, we were colonized by the British. Everyone knows that when our fathers decided to form this nation called Nigeria, the vision they had, or rather, the visions were already manifested. So we wouldn't be talking about the visions right now. We're going to talk about what they built. What they built was a nation made up of 3 governing entities called regions: the Eastern region, the Western region, the Northern region. These entities, these regions, each one of them had governments they all had governments of their own. These are regions that were built like nations. Each of them had the capacity to become an independent nation of their own. They had their legislative branches, their judiciaries, and they had their executives in all the 3 regions. They had 3 constitutions. These constitutions had in them the capacity to, they empowered this government to build roads, generate electricity, run their educational systems. They were independent and they were autonomous. They had some of the fastest growing economies in the world at the time. Everybody developed at their own pace. You did not have people in Abuja telling you what to do in Lagos or in Enugu or in Kano. These were 3 distinct entities with 3 constitutions. When they now decided to join together as a nation, the style of government they chose was a federal system of government, which now called for a 4th constitution, which was now the federal constitutions. A federation is a union of constitutions. You cannot call yourself a federation when you are operating from the center alone, where all powers reside in the center. A federation is a union of constitutions. It was like a business venture that involved the East, West, and the North together. And it was a really good Nigeria. It did not have everything yet. It was not a great nation yet, but it was built, it was firmly sitting on a constitution that could handle that growth. Just like our brother said, the constitution is a foundation. So you build, the foundation you put on a bungalow is not the same foundation you put on a three-story building. So that Nigeria was sitting on a good constitutional base that was based on the regions. In 1963, Nigeria became a republic. There was a new constitution that emerged in 1963. That constitution was a result of Nigerians now looking at what they had previously and saying, you know, we can improve on this. There was also agitation for a Midwestern region, which was carved out of the Western region. And then this constitution was the first constitution that was made fully by Nigerians without the great influence of the British. That constitution went through plebiscite, went through referendum. All the things that you needed to check, all the bullet points you needed to check when you make a constitution were all checked in that 1963 constitution. So 1960 constitution ended in 1963, and Nigeria was moving forward. A young nation, but a very promising one, because all the factors, the human capital, the educational system, all the things that the great nations grew out of was in place. They were all in place. Then they got to 1966. There was a coup by the military. During that coup was not successful. That coup failed. The people that took over, the military government that took over, what we know today as Ironsi's government that took over after that coup, were not the people who planned the coup. They were actually the people who stopped the coup. So they were managing the system temporarily until the civilian establishment was resuscitated to where they could now receive power once again. So that government never interfered with the regional basis of the country. It was still Eastern region, Western region, Midwestern region, Northern region, until after the next coup, which was which took place shortly, a few months after that first coup. And then these were the things that now led us to the war, to the civil war. That it was right before that civil war that General Gowon announced the creation of states. For the first time, we were hearing about states. Nobody agreed on states when we started the nation. So 12 states were created. And then we went into war. And I'm going to talk about that war a little bit. There's going to be a segment where we go into details as to what led to that war. After that war, a rogue federal government emerged that seized everybody's assets and started to act like the owners of the land against the wishes of the people. And like I said, let's just touch a little bit of that on that war. Today, we're talking about the East and the Southeast and South-South. And it's a little bit, it's quite, I think it's really necessary for us to at least get to talk a little bit about what led us to that point. Why was a nation that was doing so well, that had so much promise, all of a sudden get into a war? And you can describe that war. If you have two words that can tell you what led to that war, those two words would be crude and oil, crude oil. That war, if you know the history of crude oil in Nigeria, crude oil, we were told that crude oil was discovered in Nigeria in 1956, Oloibiri. We know that that is not true, because crude oil, when the British were in charge of Nigeria, they had been drilling oil in the area like 50 years before that. The Second World War, they fought, excuse me, they fought the Second World War. During the Second World War, oil from the Niger Delta was in that war, as well as the First and Second World War. All these things were there. So When Nigeria now was about to gain independence, they went out there and announced that, yes, you have oil. It was a secret operation prior to that. Shell was there years before 56, before Loibiri. So, and if you go into the British archives, you'll find all this information. So these are not things I'm making up. The regional setup of the region now did not permit the British to take full control of this thing that is now being called black gold, because it was so important it was powering economies around the world, and the British wanted it. If you look at the different places where the British had been, when they leave, they'll give you that political independence, but they still controlled their resources. So coming into that regional situation in the Niger Delta, in the east, in what we know today as the South and the South-South, which was Eastern region, Midwestern region, that region was now independent in many ways. They controlled their resources. They were not, these are Republican people that are Republican in their orientation. So there was difficulty getting to the oil. The British wanted control of it. So that was what led to even the coup. The coup of 1966 was masterminded by British intelligence. They got into that war when as soon as the soldiers struck, BBC went on the air and announced that senior Igbo officers had orchestrated a coup that killed so many people. If you look at that coup today, you'll find officers from all over the country. It was not an Igbo coup, but that was the way it was branded, and agitated the people to the point to where everybody blamed Igbo for the coup, which led to the programs, which led to all kinds of ugly things that happened after that. And Gowon, to his credit, and Ojukwu did not want war. They actually went to Aburi and took steps to prevent the war. But that failed, because when Gowon came back, the British said, no, nobody gave you the authorization. Gowon is not a son of the Caliphate. He's from the Middle Belt. Who gave you the authority? And I'm going to stop. Jane, I know you're looking at time. So the influence, it was the British that organized the international coalition in that war, internationally as well as locally, to implement that war that took place, where brother was fighting against brother to the tune of over 3.4, probably about 3.5 million deaths and all kinds of casualties. But the greater damage that was done was in the propaganda that was put in the region. And the reason why this war even happened, the coup and everything even happened, was that when the British could not get the oil, they blamed the Igbo for it. And it was a matter of going out there, chop off the Igbo, crush the Igbo in a way that there is no unity within the region, to where they now had all the oil they wanted, signed away to them. So when we look at that war and everything that took place, let's look at each other and understand that we were also victims. There was a mastermind behind the things and the actions that we took, that many of us took against each other during that war. Okay. Not to be so, I'm going to stop in a second, but not to be so cruel, not to be so critical of the British. We can still build a relationship. We just want them to be able to at least understand that we can start building a different kind of relationship going forward. So after that war, now we got into this constitution. We got into this system where a rogue federal government now took over the space and began to act as the owners, until we got to 99, when they now captured it in a constitution that we did not make. Peoples of Fulani, senior military officers got into a room under a caliphate and said, this is the constitution upon which we are going to run the space. And we now landed in this 1999 constitution, which was a unitary constitution operating as a federal constitution. We did not make it. It's just like somebody stepping into your space and saying that you are their spouse when you never married them. And they lock your kitchen, you eat only what they give you. You go into, they're able to, they are using your name to collect loans from banks in your name. They're compromising your security, and all kinds of things are happening. We are at a place right now where we are the poverty capital of the world. because the foundational basis upon which the nation was built has been destroyed. We are now running on a constitution that cannot carry a robust economy. It is just not possible under this arrangement. And that is where we are today in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Johnny, for very good historical perspective. And now we're just going to take one question. We're kind of running behind with that. I see Anthony Chibuzo had his hand raised. So if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand. And so I'm going to call on him to ask his question, and then we're going to go on to the next bit. And in the meantime, if we can have Johnny, if you can kind of queue up the Modo video and the Miiti Allah video to show right before we bring Gordon Clifford, who's going to take us through a very exciting journey through the 1999 Constitution. You never knew it was so exciting. So, Anthony, question.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm calling from Germany, March. I got one simple question. Can you hear me?
Johnny,
Hello?
stop sharing your screen.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Do me a favor. Publish the names of the owners of those oil wells in Nigeria. Publish the names of the owners of the oil wells in Nigeria for the world to see, for our brothers both in the north and everywhere to see. Please do that. Publish the name and publish it well so that we know the owners of those oil wells. That is it. Please.
Okay, that's a very good comment. And we do have a statistical and data team. So anyone that wants to join the statistical and data team, do put your name in the chat and your contact information, and we will go ahead and add you to that team. That's, like I said, that's just a great comment because we absolutely need all those data points. So if we can go to the first video.
People elected, selected to write a constitution, wrote a constitution. 40 people in the Supreme Military Council promulgated a constitution for us. Under General Abubakar, government in which I served, I was in executive council. I never saw the draft constitution. And I was Minister of Information. It was my responsibility to publicize it to the country. On the day of swearing in of Obasanjo, we didn't have a copy of the constitution. I didn't know who was printing it. And my ministry was supposed to pay for the printing. And Obasanjo was sworn on a constitution that had not been read by anybody. And the National Assembly could not be constituted until 4 days after he swearing in, because there was no clean copy of the Constitution. You cannot build on quicksand. And the country cannot live on falsehood.
Okay, if you can show the Miiti Allah video, and then we are going to welcome Dr. Clifford Irana.
I've had difficulty with that Miiti Allah video.
Okay, it's not showing. Okay, do you have, what about the other one after that then? And we can just go that one just halfway through the genocide. Okay.
Okay. Look.
So again.
Look. With
a benefit of what has happened in my state, a similar program of a Ruga settlement was not called Ruga in 1987. The government approved land that was taken from the natives in Zangon Kataf and Kachia local government and created a grazing reserve. And they call it Kachia Grazing Reserve. By 1990, it was changed to Laduga Grazing Reserve. And Laduga is a Fulani ward. And today, as I'm talking, it was an initial landmass of 30 hectares of land that was taken from the natives, no compensation. And up to now, no single native that is there that can even go there. If you go, you cannot even enter that place as a native. And huge development is taking place. Big buildings, big hospitals. You don't even know what is going on there in Laduga. And it has been surreptitiously increased in size to 70,000 hectares. And so if we have this Ladoga...
70,000 or 70? 70,000.
70,000
It means
hectares.
It was 30,000 I was taking initially.
From 30,000, it has been increased to 70,000, and it is still there. So there is the plan is to replicate this Ladoga model all over the nation, thereby changing democracy, the political democracy, the demography, the economic demography, the social demography, the cultural demography of a people all over the nation, and Fulanize every place in the nation.
These are fears that you have.
These are fears. These are not only fears. I'm giving testimony.
This is something that you've seen happen.
It is something that we have seen happen in Kaduna State, in southern Kaduna.
This is
and we, the land of our people, we cannot get there. We cannot go to farm.
We can end that there, Johnny.
This is the land that was taken over from the people. It was not compensated for.
Okay, and then just stop sharing. Thank you very much. Okay, we just wanted to play that before Clifford now talks to you about the 1999 Constitution, so you can understand what exactly is happening and how can that happen, right? So Dr. Clifford has been giving us some really great information. And Dr. Clifford, welcome to the program, and thank you again for being a resident Constitution expert after Tony.
Thank you very much. I'm an engineer, I'm not a lawyer, but I'll do my best.
Hey. God gave us all kinds of gifts.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon here because it's 1:49 p.m. here in Houston, Texas. I'm here to talk about two topics. One is what is wrong with the 1999 Constitution, and the second part is the misery that the 1999 Constitution is creating. So let me go straight to what are the things that are wrong with the 1999 Constitution. Number one, the 1999 Constitution lied in its preamble. Of course, we know that every standard constitution starts with a preamble. We the people. So it lied because we the people never made the Constitution. That's number one. Number two, the Constitution also lied that the first one is we the people agreed to stay together as one or to form a union. The second one is that we the people agreed to give, enact, and make unto ourselves this Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to show you this. This is Decree 24. It is this document that brought the Constitution we call 1999 into existence. It has 6 paragraphs before the second page, which has the signature. The last paragraph here says that they are hereby photocopying or bringing back the 1979 Constitution with small amendment and converting it to 1999 Constitution. Therefore, that second statement that we enacted, that we gave ourselves, that we made unto ourselves, that Constitution is a big lie. Number 3, a standard Constitution anywhere in the world, I want you to challenge me and I'm also challenging you, is always activated by a referendum or plebiscite. This one was activated by this document, Decree number 24. Number 4, the Constitution lied in section 2, where it says that Nigeria shall be a federation. A federation is a union of constitutions. We had a federation all the way to 1966, where we had 4 constituents, 4 regional governments federating to form the federal government. You cannot, the federation is not formed from the center. It is formed from the side to the center. And that is why Nigeria is practicing what is called inverted federation or inverted federalism. Number 5, Number 5, the entire section 1 and section 20, please. Entire section 1 and section 10 of the Constitution are no longer enforceable. They are no longer valid. Section 1 and section 10, I need you to write it down. They are no longer enforceable or valid. Why? Section 1 says that the Constitution is binding to everyone within Nigeria. That's subsection 1 of it. Subsection 2 says that nobody should govern or take leadership in Nigeria unless as dictated by that Constitution. Then the subsection 3 of that same section 1 says that any law or anything that contradicts the Constitution, that law is invalid. So that's section 1. Now, section 10 says that Nigeria, that there shall be no religious state religion at the state and at the federal level. So when you look at this section 1 and section 10, you now juxtapose it, that is, place it side by side by 12 contiguous states that have declared Sharia law. They have violated section 1 and they have violated section 10, making it unenforceable. So that's a problem right there. Number 6 of what is wrong with the Constitution is that when our forefathers, when our foundational fathers, those who fought for the independence of Nigeria, when they went into agreement for Nigeria independence or decolonizing us from British colonial rule, the agreement was that we will have regions and not states. It was agreed that all we have will be regions. And therefore, we went into independence with 3 regions and 1 region later added in 1963 to form the 4th region. Now, we are having what is called states. That is not what we agreed. The citizens, the indigenous people of Nigeria, were never consulted. There was no agreement. There was no voting, nothing at all to move from regionalism to states. So those are the things, and even more. But because of time, I am going to stop on this part of my presentation. Now, the second part, the misery that the 1999 Constitution is creating. Number 1, the 1999 Constitution has caused the seizure of all our assets and natural resources. And how was that done? It was done through federal exclusive list, which is stated in section 4, subsection 2, and in schedule 2, part 1, listing 68 items that is exclusively to the federal government, which is like the tail wagging the dog, instead of the dog wagging the tail. Number 2 is that we cannot develop our infrastructure also because of this exclusive list, section 4, subsection 2, schedule 2, part 1. We have our seaport, we have ability to build our rail, we have ability to build all kinds of infrastructure, but we cannot do so because of this Constitution. Number 3 is that money realized from the sales of our natural resources are diverted into what is called the federation account. And from that federation account, the money is taken out and a chunk of it is given to the core north. Let me give you an example. Bayelsa produces oil, and when that oil is sold and put into the federation account, when it's time to share that money, there are 3 conditions under which that money will be shared. 1 is the size of the state, 2 is the population of the state, and 3 is the number of local government areas. So now bring out Kano, bring out Bayelsa from where the crude oil was extracted, and compare the 2, and you do your mathematics and tell me between Kano and Bayelsa, which of these two states will receive more money from the monies gotten from crude oil sale that was extracted from Bayelsa State. And that is courtesy of Section 162, subsection 1 and 2. Number 4, the Nigerian Constitution perpetuates insecurity in our land. Why? Because number 45 on that Schedule 2, Part 1, remember there are 68 items. Go to number 45 of it. You will see that security and policing is there. And according to Professor Senator Adeyeye, all crimes are local. All crimes are local. And so why should we now not be allowed to have our own policing? I'm not talking about this community, whatever they are doing. No, I'm talking about backed by the Constitution and the law. That is just one part of it. Then the other part is, Jane, people keep making this wrong statement that the governor is the chief security officer of a state. That is a lie. Section 214, subsection 5. Please write it down if you are watching me now. Section 214, subsection 5 of the Constitution says that the governor cannot give a command to the lowest police officer, and that police officer will obey. The police officer will have to go back to the president or the inspector general to get approval. That is whoever is the lowest ranking police officer you can think of. And you are calling the governor the chief security officer of the state. That's laughable. Number 5, the Constitution supports and institutionalized corruption. You can see that in Section 6, subsection 6D. You can see it in Section 81, 82, 121, 122, and in Section 308. That is why you have them doing all kind of things. Section 308 is the section that grants them immunity. President, vice, governor, deputy. Number 6, the citizens cannot enforce their right to enjoy the dividends of governance, because there is a clause in the section in the Constitution that protects the governors and the president. And you can find that in Section 6, subsection 6C. You cannot enforce your right to enjoy the dividend of governance. Number 7, it makes nonsense of the federal character system. The federal character is actually acknowledged in Section 14, subsection 3. Section 14, subsection 3. If you go there, you will see the federal character written. But the fact is that it is being ignored. Why? Because Section 308 protects the president from prosecution when he goes rogue, when he goes against the federal character system. And that is why you have the Fulanis in high-ranking position. Military, custom, immigration, post authority, NNPC, airport, they are all over the place, put there by their fellow Fulani president. And there's nothing you can do about it because Section 308 protects him. Number 8, I have 9 points, so this is second to the last. Number 8, there is this constitution guarantees the high cost of governance. Section 3 created 36 states. Schedule 2, Part 1 created 774 local governments. Section 48 created 109 senators. Section 49 created 360 members of House of Rep. Section 147, subsection 3, mandates that there shall be 36 ministers as a minimum. It could be more, but minimum that the president must be 36 states. Now, do you know that the National Assembly, which is made up of 109 senators, like I said earlier, and 360 members of Rep, that is 469 members of the National Assembly, they receive 150 million naira yearly as constituency allowance. Please watch my word. I said constituency, not their salary. Constituency allowance. 150 million naira. Multiply that by 469. They also go home with about $600,000. I'm talking about hard currency now. Multiply it, $600,000 multiplied by 469. This is just the National Assembly alone. Now, remember I talked about 36 states that have 36 governors with commissioners. I don't know how many they have per state. Each commissioner will have senior assistant, special assistant, senior special assistant, senior special assistant. What are we talking about? At the end of the day, over 80% of our budget or whatever is spent on servicing these people. And then the last one, and let me make this clear. Jean, I don't know if we can pull up that quote by Sir Ahmadu Bello, because I want to use that to buttress what I want to say. If it is possible, Johnny, if it is possible for you to share your screen and post that quotation by Sir Ahmadu Bello that he made on October 12, 1960, because that's what I want to use to round up. And what is the last point I'm trying to make here? That the Middle Belt and the southern part of Nigeria cannot produce a president. None of this section can produce a president because of section 134, subsection 2 of the Constitution. Please let me not get you angry, Jane. I have to repeat. Let me do a repeat of what I said again. Section 134, subsection 2 makes it impossible for the Middle Belt and the southern part of Nigeria to produce a president unless that candidate that will come from Middle Belt and southern Nigeria will fit into the description of what you guys are looking at on your computer right now or your phone. I am sure anyone that is in this Zoom now watching me has seen what Johnny has posted. The only way a Middle Belter or somebody from southern Nigeria can be elected as a president of Nigeria under the 1999 Constitution is when that person fits into what you are seeing on your screen right now. And let me conclude by reading it, and then I'll stop. I won't waste more time, Jim. The new nation, called Nigeria, should be an estate of our great-grandfather, Ottoman Danfodio. We must ruthlessly prevent a change of power. We use the minorities, that is the Middle Belt now, of the North as willing tools, and the South, that is us, as a conquered territory, and never to have the control over their future. I rest my case. Thank you very much.
I almost feel like clapping for that. You know why? A lot of people, especially those that are so married into one Nigeria. But when you look at what Johnny had to say, one Nigeria was actually 4 independent governments with their independent constitutions, with a small central government that was meant to be rotating in its leadership. And then you hear those that are clamoring for restructuring under the 1999 Constitution because they don't understand these facts. Who's going to tell them? I would like to tell you that it's you and I. We're the ones that need to tell them because that's important. The reason why you have the Fulani herdsmen terrorists and other terrorists acting with impunity, somehow they can find them to negotiate with them and pay them, but cannot find them to take them out. Somehow they receive intelligence from the US that can pinpoint one person and come into Nigeria, take that one person and leave Nigeria. And the government didn't even know they were there. And they want us to believe that after getting all of that intelligence, they cannot find those bandits, kidnappers, Fulani herdsmen, killers, armed gunmen, whatever it is that you call them. Okay? That's a sorry state. But once they get to know this, once they get to understand this, what's in that constitution, which we call the murderous, sham, fraudulent, illegitimate constitution, they will understand why Ninas took it down through the constitutional force majeure in December. Okay, let's look at the video that tells us what we were. Just don't take our word for it. Let's hear out of the very mouth of Amado Bello. What did he have to say?
The Premier replied. In the name of God, the compassionate and the merciful, let thanks be given to God everywhere in the northern region of Nigeria for the blessing of self-government which we have received this day through his help, and for the blessing of progress which has long been a feature of our lives within this region. In our prayers, let us also beseech Almighty God for continued and peaceful progress, and for the furtherance of the prosperity and happiness of the people of this land. As I speak to you on this historic day, the emotion of pride. Proud that I and my colleagues have succeeded in the face of many difficulties in the aim of acquiring self-government as soon as it was practicable. And finally, the emotion of joy. Greatly rejoicing that I can share with all of you this day an immense feeling of relief and contentment at the successful outcome of our advance towards the creation of a self-governing northern region of Nigeria.
Okay, we can end it there. Self-governing northern region. Heard from the slave master's mouth. Yeah, they've created apartheid. That's pretty much where we're at. Okay, that's what we were. 4 independent countries, governments, self-governing, autonomous, not unitary. So anytime they tell you that we cannot break Nigeria, you tell them it's already broken. Because it's supposed to be 4, not 1. And that 1 isn't 1 because it's actually 1/4. Because it's only the minority Fulani who agreed to this. So we say to them, no referendum, no constitution, no unitary Nigeria, period. Okay, thank you very much, Johnny. We're gonna take one question, and I'm in Clifford for that presentation. And we will be carving out those pieces because so that it can travel, so these pieces can travel by themselves as well. So you guys will be able to, send it out to other people. So we're going to take one question on the Constitution, and we'll have an opportunity to chat afterwards. So anyone that wants to ask a question, you just have to raise your hand or we will get moving. Okay. I'm going to do that really quick. I think everybody understood that. So we are going to go on to the next section, which is going to be talking about the Reverend Joe. Go ahead. The next section after Reverend Joe's question is going to be talking about what has the movement for Nigeria done to set us up for this historical project, this historical jet, freedom jet, Nina's freedom jet that we're on. So Reverend Joe. Let's see, go ahead and unmute yourself, and please, let's do that really quickly. Sorry, to 1 minute, no more.
Can you guys hear me?
Go ahead. Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you for allowing me, the moderator. Please, I wouldn't want us to misunderstand my question. It's out of curiosity, and I need clarification so that I can get it right. Now, having taken a close study of the people we are dealing with in Nigeria, I mean, the Fulanis, it's obvious. They've shown it, they've written it, they've said it, that Nigeria belongs to them, and they want to make sure they recover what belongs to them. And they're doing everything possible to regain what they think that belongs to them by their forefathers. And one of the strategies is what you can see, the result of killing, whatever. Look at Benue crying every day. Now, and we are talking about this constitution, which we give room for such a normal thing to get corrected. But these people, we never allow a constitutional way of getting this thing done right. I agree with you. They can never allow you to take it in the right way. Now, I want to ask, since they don't want it, they don't care about your rightful way of getting back your freedom and referendum or whatever, rather they come killing you. What are we going to do to restrict ourselves not being killed before we get this particular referendum or whatever way we get taking ourselves out of this quagmire, if I'm to say? What can we do? Do we wait until when all of us are killed, the way they're killing people, and the process of waiting for the right thing to be done? Please don't misunderstand me. You might think that I'm trying to promote or support anybody that is going into the other way. But let's think within ourselves and reason.
No, that is understood. I mean, obviously that's a concern to everyone. It's a grave concern to everyone to see what's happening and ask the question, well, what do we do to protect ourselves? Because they've got guns, they've got our money, they've got our assets, right? They're paying them ransoms, they're letting them kidnap, they're letting them do everything that they want, right? Well, the good news is that recently the US, the UK, and the EU indicated to Nigeria that they need to go and deal with the people of the land, those that have raised the legal questions. We need to go talk to those that have raised the legal questions, and that guns should not be the way that it is solved. Okay, having said that, we know that everything kind of moves slowly. So it is imperative on us to devise plans in how we save our people. So there's lots of work that's been done to make sure that we let the international community understand, that peacekeeping is needed at this point, because the situation is deteriorating significantly. And then on our side, we also need to be able to figure out how we stay alive. And there are plans, that you can go through, just like if there's going to be a fire in your house, you have a fire alarm. We need to devise systems. And I understand that the governor of Obaseki has instituted, like a neighborhood watch, so that they can be more watchful as to who's in the environment, who's coming into the environment, because that definitely helps to curb the activities. Okay, so yes, that has been addressed, and we're reaching out to NINUS is reaching out to our friends overseas, everywhere, to make sure that they understand the gravity of the situation. And in fact, Matthew Ogaraku is going to start talking to us about what he's going to, in his conversation, he's going to talk about, what the UN found, what the UN said, so that people are clear on what the situation is. But let me make this abundantly clear. If we, the people, don't step up and be part of the process, get on social media with us, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, to communicate directly so that they can see the number of us that are concerned about what's going on, we will not be successful, okay? because it's people power. It's not government power. And so everyone here needs to be on social media with us and bring others, because it's in that mass movement that things happen. So Matthew Ogarako is going to talk to us about the movement for New Nigeria, under which a lot of all the foundation was laid, and the Lower Niger Congress, which led that effort. Okay, he's going to talk to us about what has been done, or is this just a plan that was hatched yesterday? Okay, Honorable Matthew Ogarako, where are you? So that you can unmute and give us that information.
Jen, can I suggest something?
Right.
Clifford Irania had said something about that particular point, that that question that was raised by the Reverend, and if we could just for a minute before Garako comes in, if Clifford can just there's something I've heard him talk about that particular question regarding how we protect ourselves. So Clifford, after Ogarako, please make an input on that.
Before, you mean? Go ahead before.
Before, please.
Yes.
Before, please, Clifford.
Yes, why don't you go ahead while I'm trying to find.
Thank you. The issue here is that, first of all, every organization has its strategies and methodologies, and it's not all of them that they will come to a Zoom meeting like this and talk about. But on the other hand, we also have to understand that the Fulanis are not invincible. They are not invincible. They are just only, a small part of the whole equation. So I don't know why somebody should ascribe invincibility to them. So, okay, if they don't agree, and that is, who are they? We are talking about the majority here taking a stand. Also, just like Jean mentioned, we have set things in motion that will ensure that things will no longer be the same. Talking about, we have set a timetable and processes in place. For instance, we gave a 90 days. After 90 days, we have a 30 days. After 30 days, then we have a 120 days, which is the final. Then after that, things will begin to, there will be enforcement. I think the way it was arranged, we have sensitization, we have mobilization, and then we have enforcement. That's the way it is: sensitization, mobilization, and enforcement. We haven't gotten to the enforcement portion of it yet. So my response to that, ladies and gentlemen, is that the Fulanis are a tiny minority, and they are not invincible. We should not be ascribing invincibility to them. Oh, they will never agree. Who are they? Who are they? Thank you very much.
That is a very strong point, because everyone says, are they going to agree? Well, we are ethnic nationalities, and I always want to say, damn it, but I won't. And we have the power, we have the right, okay? And we're not asking them for permission, but, they are still killing under that 1999 Constitution. And so what we need to do, okay, we need to shut down the 2023 elections. You hear that in a call to action, so that they cannot bring that, they cannot give it rebirth and bring it back and go to 2023. Okay, that's where we come in. We got to shut it down. And like I said, one of the things that fail a nation is those that fail their people. And unfortunately, in our environment, we have way too many people that are failing our people. They're the ones that are going around, taking money and pointing to people. They're the ones that are going around and taking money and saying, let's go to 2023. They're the ones that are taking money and saying, Buhari is doing a great job, as the bodies are littered from the middle belt to the south. You know them. And some of them you don't know. Okay, because they're just anybody on the street who's selling out to stay alive. And that's what being the poverty capital of the world is. That's how they are not just impoverishing us, but making us to take any little bit of money, right? 500 naira to 5,000 naira every 4 years is what a Nigerian is worth to a politician. I won't say let them rot in hell, but seriously, you see 105 million people living in poverty, and you're driving your Rolls Royce, your private jets, and you have a Lamborghini on top of the Rolls Royce and a Mercedes. Come on. The people will be free when they decide to be free and not beggars. We're not beggars. We own the damn things. Excuse me, I just said that again. We own the assets, not the politicians, not the government. Okay? So it's us that gets to free ourselves. Now, I can't find Ogaraku. Johnny, can you see where he is? Because, you know, he spoke earlier, but I can't find him. And if I can't find him, and I don't see Donald as well, I might just go through that piece myself so that we can get going. Okay, so you guys get me. Sorry. Clifford, did you want to do that? No, I'm not going to put you on the spot. Okay, let's talk about Movement for New Nigeria, Lower Niger Congress, Middle Belt Forum, and what used to be Ilana Modwa, that used to be the Yoruba World Congress. What exactly has been going on since 1999? What does Ojukwu, Enahoro, Soyinka, Chinua Achebe, what do they have in common? Well, they supported this movement. They supported this movement. And so as soon as that 1999 Constitution hit the ground, everyone looked at it and it was like, oh my, what are we going to do? And so the alliance formed and they started working on figuring out what exactly to do with it. And in between 2005 and 2006, they had the Pro-National Conference of Organizations, right, which is PRONACO. They brought the ethnic nationalities together to talk about this, okay? And then they went on to talk about filing a lawsuit, and actually filed that lawsuit between 2007 and 2009 against the federal government, okay? The federal government weaved this way, weaved that way, weaved the other way. It's undisputable, the fact that that Constitution was not made by the people. In fact, you know, God always has a sense of humor. When that Constitution was initially published, there was a note placed in it that was supposed to have been removed that said this was not, you know, people's Constitution, but it was actually printed with it. And as, you know, Dr. Clifford mentioned, you know, it's Decree 24. And if you look at you will see Decree 24 before they removed it too, right? So we know what it is. So that lawsuit was filed and they wiggled and this way, wiggled that way, okay? And then in 2011, actually, they had the multi-regional Lagos Declaration, where all of the joint statement was made, denouncing that Constitution, okay? And then between 2015 and 2018, each of the ethnic nationalities had their solemn assembly where they categorically said they did not make this, they do not want it, they rejected it. Now, between 2015 and currently, the US was engaged because the US at the time had said we've gotten rid of ISIS. And so the Movement for New Nigeria, led by the LNC, said, sorry, ISIS has just relocated to Nigeria, partnering up with the caliphate. You haven't actually gotten rid of them. And guess what? Boko Haram is hot on their tails, heading that way as well. So our interest is aligned because we know that they're out to disrupt the world. Not just where they are, they're out to disrupt the world. okay, because we've seen the activities that they've done. And the Lower Niger Congress actually took the victims to Capitol Hill so that they could talk about what was actually happening, so they could actually see the victims. And at some point while they were there, they also spoke to the UN. They went to the UN office in New York. So that brings us to 2019, when the US placed Nigeria on that watch list. And then in 2020, they now put them on the blacklist of egregious religious injustice. And that's the first time a democracy, well, we know we're not a democracy, but yeah, let's just go with that. The first time a democracy was put on that list, okay? And then you've seen all the recent, in 2021, hearings, by different groups, by, in front of Congress, talking about the Nigeria problem. And then the UN has been engaged. They've got the maps. NINUS is having ongoing discussions about what's going on, right? And in 2019, they sent what's called a special rapporteur to go find out what's actually going on. Okay, and Agnes Callamard, she came back and she said she had grave situation going on in Nigeria. And oh, by the way, the constitutional arrangement, she called it out. She said the constitutional arrangement is a powder keg, right? And it's a pressure cooker for injustice. And then she listed all these things. And then in 2020, another special rapporteur now said things had gotten worse from 2019 when she went there. And we know that's the case. And it's even worse. It's even worse today than it was in 2020. Because now it's every day. And still, no arrests. The ones that were arrested before this regime were released as repentant, right? And then they started being the ones to, show them where to go kill people, right? Okay, so the US, the UN has been engaged. The UK has been engaged. Lots of teams in the UK have engaged the UK Parliament, and you've seen those hearings there. And Baroness Cox has been a great supporter of Nigeria. And then the ICC has also been engaged. And on December 11, 2020, right before the constitutional force majeure, and right after America placed Nigeria on the blacklist, they issued a statement that was reasonable basis that the Nigerian security forces had committed crimes against humanity that rose to the level of war crimes. So not just Boko Haram, and they had a list, a damning list of things. They had reasonable basis to believe that. So all of that has been put in place before the constitutional force majeure was issued in December, okay? So this is not a plan. This is a plan that has been working since 1999. And some people will say, well, if it's such a good plan, why did it take so long, right? A good plan is one that you work through. You eliminate obstacles as you go along, and then you execute with precision. It wasn't, by chance that the US put Nigeria on the blacklist. The ICC issued their statement on the 11th, and then on the 16th, the constitutional force majeure was issued. So there is a basis for the plan. And under this plan, the NINUS is a vehicle that is moving forward with the constitutional force majeure. And we're going to hear about that next. So I'm going to pause now and see if anyone has any questions. And the next piece of it, we're going to be talking about NINUS. What is NINUS? What is a constitutional force majeure? And what was the 5 demands that was made of the federal government? And we're going to have Dr. Posse Tubo that's going to talk about that. Okay, so anyone that has a question, I see Mazi Okoye. I'm going to ask you to unmute and we'll take your question and then we will move on. Thank you very much. And please keep that to 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you. It's not really a question. It's more of a suggestion.
Okay.
Because I noticed that we are working on the assumption that everybody in Nigeria wants out of Nigeria, which to my mind is a bit presumptuous on our part. So I think we got to start considering people. There's a lot of serious people that still believes that things can work out in one Nigeria, and we shouldn't, in a way, dismiss their opinion offhand, because I believe that in itself, I don't think that is helping matters. This is just a suggestion because I believe there's a lot of serious and well-meaning people that still believe that things can work out within Nigeria. So we must not dictate to people that or assume that everyone wants out.
Okay, so first of all, if you listened, it says that this process is going to end in a referendum. That's where the people speak. Ninas is not making any assumptions as to how this is going to go, because there are 3 ethnic nationalities in this alliance. They may each decide to do something different. Nobody knows until we get to the referendum.
Jen, let's correct that really quick. Jen, please, sorry to cut you off. Let's correct that. There's more than 3 ethnic nationalities. There's like 200.
I'm just saying in the alliance, because we do have the far north. Yeah, I'm just talking about in the alliance. Okay?
Blocks, alliance blocks. Okay.
Yeah, we have the 3 blocks. So Ninas is in no way making any decisions for anyone or assuming to know what people are going to do, except that we did take a look and ask people what they wanted. And a lot of them saying they wanted out of this contraption. But more importantly, beyond even talking about if you want out of Nigeria or not, we want out of that 1999 constitution, because that 1999 constitution only serves a small percentage of the people that are in what is called unitary Nigeria, and it should serve everyone. So if that's all we achieve and we reset and get the constitution that the people want, that's a win. Because as it is right now, there's a noose around all of our necks called the 1999 Constitution, not just in death, but when I think about 50 million children without food, without clothing, without shelter, their future stolen from them. That gets me angry. And so that 1999 Constitution must go down regardless. That's step number 1. Then people can decide what they want to do. We're not dictating to them, but that 1999 Constitution, failure is not an option. Not an option. Hope that answers your question. Okay, so we're going on to, I'm trying to find, I just saw him and then I lost him again. Let's see, because we're going to Dr. Posse, who's going to be talking about the CFM. And Johnny, can you see him? I was saying his name so that you could look to see if you could see him, because I saw him just a minute ago.
I'm here.
I can see him. Yes, he's here. He's here. Yes.
I'm here.
Okay, there you are. Okay, welcome, yes. Dr. Posse Olatubosun.
Yes.
He's going to talk to us about NINAS, what is NINAS, and what's a constitutional force majeure. You are welcome.
Thank you very much, everyone. My name is Dr. Posse Olatubosun. I'm the director of Ilana Omoduduwa in the UK. NINAS, well, NINAS represents Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, and Ilana Omoduduwa is an affiliate member of NINAS. Well, NINAS has come a long way, actually. It has moved from pro-NACO to, to Movement for New Nigeria, which actually means Movement for No Nigeria, and then Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. The history behind it is that in 1999, Decree 24, or whatever decree it is called, was enacted. And see, for avoidance of doubt, because someone is asking now about whether people are satisfied and so on and so forth. Let it be clear that in our neighbor, just our neighbor down the road, that is Ghana, before what's the name of the former president, before he transmuted, Rollins, thank you very much, God bless you. Before he transmuted from military man to civilian, there was plebiscite. Let that be clear. That Ghanaian constitution passed the plebiscite test. That is the legitimacy test that all constitution has to pass. So it was presented to the people. The people, now, you see, because I have a friend who we were doctoral students together in the UK in those days, and he tried to become an MP, and he told me that it took, I think, 2 or 3 years. They kept tweaking and retweaking that constitution before it was accepted by the generality of Ghanaians. Okay, they also have, the northern region and so on and so forth. So let that be clear, that every constitution must pass that test of being autochthonous, and that it should be accepted by the people. Remember that each of those regions were actually countries of their own. Western region and the Eastern region became, attained self-governance on 8th of August, 1957. Let that be clear. Those regions were self-governing, they have their own constitution. And the northern region wasn't ready until May 15, 1960. Let that be clear. So we were never, ever a unitary state. So coming back to, I'm going to come back to the 5 points later on. But then, so in 1999, the president had been sworn in. He didn't know about the constitution at all. In fact, I remember watching on Minaj television in 1999. Then they brought in Femi Falana and a Ghanaian lawyer a week to Obasanjo being sworn in. And Falana was saying that, look, they are insisting that this thing is a hoax, that it's not going to be possible because Nigeria has no constitution. And then the Ghanaian, lawyer was shocked. He said, he doesn't see how this will work. A week to, it was a Monday. Obasanjo became president on Saturday, also on Friday. So what I'm trying to say is that there was never a time Nigerians developed this constitution. And that was what led to PRONACO. That was what led to Movement for No Nigeria, which culminated in Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. And how we got here was actually autochthonous. There was the declaration in each of the regions. Perhaps many of you would have seen the clips on internet whereby Fani Kaude, all the Afenifere leaders and so on and so forth, Fayoshe, all the governors meeting in Ibadan. I'm talking of my own region now. And this, this was 2018. And they said, look, this is not our own constitution. We want to opt out of Nigeria. So, and the same thing was replicated in other regions, but I'm not going to be talking for other regions today. But in any case, so where we are now is that we now made a 5-point demand. I'm talking of Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. I've interpreted this to Yoruba language, and it's been widely circulated among our people. So this 5 demand came from the people of the Alliance region, that is the people of Middle Belt, the Western Nigeria, and the Middle Belt, yes, the Western Nigeria, the Midwest, and the South and the Eastern region. That is people who had the original constitution, and this was made in December 16, 2020, and we expected the federal government of Nigeria to address this within 90 days. Number one is that we want a formal announcement by the federal government of Nigeria acknowledging that the constitutional grievances and sovereign disputes now declared by the people of South and Middle Belt of Nigeria. That is to say that, look, we have taken judicial notice of the fact that the people are not okay with this constitution. That is, the constitution was not made by them. Number two is that there should be a formal commitment by the federal government of Nigeria to the wholesale decommissioning and jettisoning of the 1999 constitution as the basis of federating in Nigeria, just like it was done in South Africa, where the apartheid era around 1990, Frederick Clark and his apartheid gang decided that, look, we would submit ourselves to a process whereby which would culminate in the people's constitution, and then the constitution was eased out. So we were saying that the Nigerian government should do this. Number three is that there should be a formal announcement by the federal government of Nigeria suspending any further elections under this constitution. Okay, and that number four, that the federal government of Nigeria should agree to hold, to allow each region of the country to develop their own people's constitution, and that this people's constitution should now be ratified by the people through plebiscite, same way as all this constitution together would become what we call the federal government of Nigeria constitution, exactly like we had in the 1963 constitution. For avoidance of doubt, the 1963 constitution is actually a union of 5 constitutions: the Western Nigeria constitution, Middle Belt, that is Edo Delta constitution, the Eastern Region constitution, and the Northern Nigeria constitution, and the 5 together make up the federal government constitution. And that finally, that there should be a formal invitation to the people of, the disputed area, that is the South and Middle Belt of Nigeria, to work out a transition authority. That is, what we're putting forward actually is that the people there, now the people who have held, positions, perhaps as governors and whatever, that they should, hold that position in transition authority until this arrangement is completed. So those are the 5 points that were put together. And you see, recently when the EU, the US, and the UK said that, look, the government of Nigeria should go back and sort it out, we had put this together. And this is very, very sensible thing to do, that we should have a transition government. People who are saying, oh, perhaps we're asking for something chaotic. Not at all. We are saying that people who are holding position now should just hold it in transition until we sort out the constitution. And I don't think it's something that's going to take long. For instance, the Western Nigeria is an autonomous unit. We have our own constitution. We have Yoruba agenda. We have so many papers developed in this area. I don't think it's going to take more than 6 months for us to work ourselves out, to work out our own constitution. Perhaps other regions that are not autonomous, for instance, the Efik, Ibibio, Ijaw, Igbo region, may have to take maybe 1 or 2 years to develop their own constitution. And that's why we say that there should be that transition arrangement. Okay, so those are the 5 points put together. And I think they are plausible points. But then if the federal government of Nigeria thinks that they have a better way of going about it, perhaps they should let us have it. But it seems that this is the plausible way to go. So thank you very much. Those are the 5 points that Ninas is asking for.
Awesome. And, obviously I'll be asking you to provide the, translation of the Constitution of Force Majeure in Yoruba so that we can disseminate that to all the groups in that area. Okay, so that's great. Thank you very much, Dr. Posse. And again, just to remind everyone, Ninas is the solution in just the fact that we have this alliance. And as you can see, we carry it through in everything that we do, because it is important to build that sense of unity, that sense of belonging, that sense of being able to interact with ourselves on a different level, okay? So we're gonna take one question and then we're gonna go on to the next bit, which is going to talk about the successes, and we're gonna have Dr. Emeka Onyebuchi that's gonna talk to us about that. Do we see a question? If not, I'm gonna go on real quick. Okay, Johnny, where is Dr. Emeka? If you can unmute him, that would be, tell him to unmute, that would be, I see him right in front of me. Awesome, I finally found somebody. Okay, Dr. Emeka, thank you very much. He's been with NINAS, Movement for New Nigeria, Lower Niger Congress for a very long time. And he's gonna talk to us about the successes that has happened since the constitutional force majeure was enacted and all the way up to March 17th, where we had the World Press Conference, which was watched live by over 4 million people. So yes, NINAS is making an impact. So Dr. Emeka, you are welcome.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you everyone who is with us this evening. Greetings, especially to Njenje Media, who has provided this platform for us. I would like to begin by saying or making this assertion that the majority of the people in the territory called Nigeria have come together. That is the Middle Belt, the Western and the Lower Niger Territory. And we form the majority. So I don't see anywhere close that the 12 contiguous states that adopted Sharia in 2000 can come close to what we want to achieve. Again, I want us to be clear about one thing, and that is the so-called government position. Who are the government? They are the so-called elected representatives from our region. And at the moment, we are at the verge of wrestling them down to let them know that there are very few individuals and they cannot sell our birthright just for their own pockets. Having said that, let me go quickly to what we have achieved from the time the constitutional force majeure was launched on December 16th, 2020. And we have achieved loads, a lot, i.e., there has been a lot of movement on the international imperative. Also, there has been a lot of movement back home. A lot of people have been doing a lot of things, whether knowingly or unknowingly, but it is as a result of the pressure from NINA's declaration of dispute. And that dispute is yielding a lot of dividend. So I would like to encourage everybody, don't relent. Our enforcement time shall come when we shall confront each and every one of the so-called politicians that have turned our lives into misery, to let them know that we no longer take it from them to continue business as usual. And that is what we have captioned that, every political parties and politicians shall close shop. So going into all the achievements we have so far, from the time we declared force majeure, giving federal government 90 days. And for the benefit of doubt, the 90 days given to them is not as a result of the fact that the new majority, the new bloc or blocks that have come together to form the alliance do not know what to do. But we are not anarchists. We don't want to take laws into our hands. That's why we decided to table this for everyone to deliberate on. And all those 5 points that have just been enumerated are being implemented as we are speaking. We have made the announcement of the dispute. We've equally rejected the 1999 Constitution. We have told the world that we will no longer go into any national round of election on the basis of 1999 Constitution. And we have suggested to the federal government that they should converge these ethnic nationalities on a round table, just like Professor Banji Akintoye mentioned. And we're not going to, if there's going to be any discussion anywhere, we're not going to be discussing with any minister. We're going to be discussing with the president or the vice president. And again, the transition, which all of us have agreed, which is based on the model of the South Africa as adopted in 1990. So, going on the backdrop of the successes we've made, we've seen videos gone viral on the social media of one of the famous pastors in Nigeria, Pastor Adefarasi, delivering the Nina's message, calling the 1999 Constitution a fraud on Nigerians. We have equally read that Ake Babalola brought forward about 50 million naira for a conference to talk about restructuring Nigeria for the first time. We've equally seen the movement on the international imperative. For instance, in recent time, the United States, the United Nations, the UK government, and the EU have all come out unequivocally and told Nigerian government that it's not going to be business as usual, that this must be sorted out on a round table, that is going to be on the legal basis of Nigeria, which is the constitution, that the gun is not going to solve this problem. We read on our newspapers and on the social media just some few days back that the request made by Buhari for America to relocate the AFRICOM to Nigeria has been rejected. And some people do not know where this rejection is coming from. Recall that the Lower Niger Congress, an organization of Ninas, has been in America talking to the State Departments. In 2019, there was a kind of paper delivered for the State Department, which was captioned Ungovernable Space. And this comprised of all these regions that borders Nigeria, areas comprising of part of Chad, part of Nigeria, part of Cameroon, part of Mali, and all that has been happening there. And that paper gave American government some kind of insight into what should be done to arrest the situation. Because there is a kind of alliance between the Fulanis that are coming from only heaven knows to take over our ancestral homes with the Boko Haram and ISIS of West Africa. This alliance is based on the fact that the Fulanis want our land and the ISIS of West Africa wants to establish Sharia. So they've seen two good working parties. So the paper that was delivered touched on American foreign policy. And for your information, the rejection didn't come as a surprise to all of us, but as a result of the work that has been done over the years by Ninas. So I want to encourage every one of us, let's not relent. We are the majority. We are the owners of the land. We are in a position to let the few individuals, because a Fulani man is not at the backyard of my village. It's not at the backyard in Oshobo. It is our own brothers who are, as a result of crumbs from the table, are bringing them, encouraging them. You can imagine if all of them today decide to leave Abuja, what is going to happen? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Onyebuchi, for that insightful information about the successes. Just to further buttress what he was talking about, that 50 million conference that they were talking about is the first time that we are seeing where they're talking about a new constitution. That's the first time. So we keep getting these informal things that are going around, but that's the first time that that has been floated out there. No longer talking amendments. So yes, NINAS is having the desired impact, and we just have to push just a little bit more. Okay. So if anyone has a question, we can answer that. And then we're going to go on to activating people power. Yeah, that's where we come in. We're going to have Dr. Rotimi, who's going to be talking to us about that. So if we don't have any questions, we will go on to Dr. Rotimi. I found him too. Yay. Okay, there is Dr. Rotimi. He's going to talk to us about what happened from April 17th, which brings us to the time that we're now, and he can tell us what that is. Thank you very much, Dr. Rotimi. You are very welcome.
Once again, thank you very much for being our Iron Lady. Thank you for what you do. We thank you, Njenje Media. We thank you for all who have created time to be here tonight, leaving everything that's important to you. I want to say that I want to quickly go back to the Afebola's issue. For me, actually, that's the first time I will hear an individual saying that we do a conference in Nigeria, who is going to give 50 million, give his hotel, give everything, just to make sure we move forward. And what is causing that is the impact that NINAS has made. This has never happened in the history of this nation. We should note that. Secondly, remember the issue of June 12 that is coming up. We'll be hearing the rumor about June 12, people going for voting and all that. Please, let's not make any mistake. It is not from NINAS. It is just a way of distracting people and, getting them to fold their hands or yoke them into the evil of these Fulani people. So please don't fall for that trick. We're not doing any referendum. We're not doing any voting for June 12. Please, let's note that. And let's carry the message across to our people. Thank you very much. From April 17 was the time we gave the House of Rep, senators, our governors, House of Assembly to come and sit down with the people, because the people owns the power. The Jesus people owns this power. Power belongs to the people. As a result, they are supposed to come down and let's judge up. How do we structure ourselves in this new thing that we're doing? And for 1 month, after the World Congress for the force majeure of 90 days to the government, we gave them 1 month and they did not come up. And so we had another World Congress covered by the international media on the 17th of April. Now, the next thing after this, of course, that World Congress was covered in Bodija, in Ibadan. And there was a mammoth crowd, of which the policemen that came to come and carry people, arrest them, they were overwhelmed. Instead of saying they came to arrest, they now changing the mouth that say, okay, we have come to make sure there's no trouble. That's why we're here. So they were overwhelmed. And the international media covered that event. After which we now say, okay, next thing to do is to give ourselves about 120 days. I don't know whether we're going to wait till 120 days between you and I don't know. But at least let's give a long rope. Let's use that period to mobilize and get everybody in Nigeria to know what NINAS is up to and align with it. Because for me, to be honest with you, this is the only way out. Why? Because we're sitting on a fake nation. We don't have a nation called Nigeria because we have a constitution that is fake. And nobody can accept a fake check in the bank. And so we don't have any foundation as a nation. So I say, okay, let's trash this fake document. Forget about the Nigeria states. Let's come together in Georgia and see how we can peacefully, disappear and form our regions. And that is what we're doing. So now it's time for you and I and all your loved ones to go and launch out. You have Twitter account, you have everything you can use to launch out and spread the news that this is what is happening. We're about to find our way moving forward. And so for the politicians and political parties, I'm sorry for those who are politicians and who are political parties among us, please be warned and be advised that it is not wise for us to allow this same competition that has held us captive for years to continue to run it. What you are doing by running for election now is that you are approving that satanic constitution. And you are going to be sworn in by that constitution. And that is a constitution that has been causing problems for us. It allows all the terrible things that's happening in Nigeria right now. And so if you don't want to be part of that, it's better to come to Nina's and let's see how we can work out things and make sure we move forward. The constitution is going to be shut down. And our plan is that there will be no 2023 election. We will end up with referendum. By now, you not rushing to do so many things. You know, talking about registration, so many things they are trying to do in order to continue to go the same way as usual. But this is not acceptable. So in writing, I want to say we have a lot of work to do, but it's not much if we can all come together and join hands to make sure we get everybody involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rotimi, for that encouraging discussion. One thing to note, guys, is that, as we said before, we're ethnic nationalities and the people have the power. So on April 17th, we activated people power with 120 days where we're going to sensitize and mobilize the people. We're going to explain to them why we cannot go to the 2023 election, given the fact that it is the mechanism that is being used to hold us in bondage, because once they're elected, they have to swear to hold that constitution, to uphold it. Okay, so we got to shut that down. So that's what we're talking to the people. And as we talked about, we need to let them know why that constitution is at issue. Because in doing so, we're connecting the constitution to the problems that we have, because there is a direct relationship. We're connecting the poverty and the misery, the police brutality that gave rise to the NSARS and the killings at Lakey to that constitution, because that's where it's flowing from. So they know not just who, the minority felony, or what, the 1999 constitution, and again, the who, because keeping all of that in place, our politicians. Okay, so that's where we are, and that's why we need everybody, all hands on deck. Okay, we're going to take a question from Johnny, and then we are going to move on. Johnny Nasike, go ahead with your question or comment.
Yes, if you have been watching these programs or the videos of the ones that we have been doing, you would notice that if you are our brother or sister from the South, and you're looking at this thing and it's like it's not as diverse as you would have expected in terms of a program focused on the Southeast, South. I want to assure you that this is the least diverse presentation we have made. There's Meg Halliday, there's Donald Debo, who are on regularly as speakers and presenters. There are people from the Middle Belt, our brothers and sisters from the Middle Belt who are part of this circuit. And so just don't look at this from the perspective of here, and I would be very interested in hearing from our brethren from the South on this, to have questions, to speak. This is just if you've been part of this, you know that this is not we're a lot more diverse in terms of speakers.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Johnny. And we will address that at the end, but we did have some cancellations in our speakers. We do have a trainer squad, an elite trainer squad, and that is, we have representation from all the blocks, but we did have some people that could not come on board, and so they're substitutes. And as you saw, I couldn't find Ogaraku, and he's a substitute for a South person who couldn't come into the meeting, and I couldn't find him. I don't know if he had dropped off for a minute and I had to do that. But yes, if you look around, you will see that actually we do have quite a good representation from places. So now we are going to go on to the next piece, which we're going to talk about the call to action. And we have Seb, who is out in Germany, and he's going to talk to us about that. Well, with all this going on, with all this information, what do we do? What are we to do? The masses, what should we do? So Seb, if you can unmute. Johnny, I'm assuming, it's right in front of me again. I have been lucky. Okay, bless, So go ahead and unmute and talk to us about what do we do now?
Yes. Thank you, Moderator Jane. Thanks, Njenje Media. Thank you, my co-discussants and honorable audience. It's great having all of you here. Some time ago, a police officer, Derek Chauvin, strangled an innocent man, George Floyd. Our brothers and sisters in America moved to action. What did they do? They moved to action, and the whole world joined them in the action. And recently, the police officer, Derek Chauvin, has been unanimously convicted, and his co-officers are being convicted along the line. Thursday, 11th of January, 2018, Donald John Trump, in a joint meeting with Democrats and the Republicans discussing immigration, called African nations and Haiti shithole nations. Why? We all got angry. Yes, we went into diplomatic action. Yes, but I have been asking my question, why? And some of the answers that come to mind are because we talk a lot and we do little. Because we pray and we want God to come down and do our part after doing his part. Because we like being docile, hoping that our neighbor will solve our problem. Because we hardly submit ourselves to better and higher ideas of our own people. Ideas which will make us take a leap forward. Such ideas are embodied in NINAS. NINAS has been systematically working to right the wrongs of Nigeria. So the question I ask you, my friends, is where do you stand? Which actions are you taking? What are you waiting for? Now, the actions you have to take a pen or the paper and start writing it down. First of all, you have to understand Nina's message. You have to understand it and you have to get the word out. Those of you in mainland Europe, with whom I've been communicating intensively in the past 2.5 weeks, you know how much information I've been bringing across to you. I hope you are reading every one of them, because that is the beginning of the action. Understand Nina's message and get the word out. Now become Nina's constitutional force majeure freedom advocate. You have to become that. That is the action. Go to the website and put it into your favorites, freedomfromnigeria.com, as well as ninasffn.org. I'm going to put it in the chat section, so that you can copy it. Go and make these two websites, make them your favorite. Click on favorite and save them in your browser. There are other websites
that we'll be getting across to you. Sign the petition. When you go to this website, you see a petition there. Sign it. And not only you signing it, get your family members to sign the petition. Get your brothers and sisters, get your village members to sign the petition. We have to take action. These are the actions. These are what makes us non-shithole countries, by taking action. Now, very critical, join a Nina's block, an ethnic block of Ninas. Join, register yourself. Don't just say, I'm a member. Yeah, I'm from Lower Niger Congress or Lower Niger Bloc. Join it. Don't say I'm from Yoruba. I'm Yoruba now. Don't you hear me speaking Yoruba? Join the movement. Middle Belt, join the movement. That is what differentiates shithole from non-shithole. That you do something. Very important. We must stop this rape on us. This rape that has been going on since 1966 and then since 1999 in a special way. This rape called fake democracy. We must stop the 2023 election. We must stop it. Friends, do you understand what I'm saying? We must stop that election, that national election. We got to stop it. That is the action. How can we stop it? Sit down and think a little. Sit down and think a little. These people that are being elected, they are from your villages. They are from your neighborhood. Get your people to knock on their door and tell them, look, enough is enough. You are not going to represent me. If they call, what do you call it? Political meeting, go there and scatter that meeting. This is about your life. This is about my life. We've got to do something. We are no shit holes. If we don't do something, we are shit holes. These senators, listen to this. These senators, they receive $600,000 a year. $600,000 a year. While the minimum wage of a Nigerian is $800 per year. 800 versus 600,000. Now you understand why they will continue to rush to do that election. The earlier speakers have elucidated on this, how much is being wasted in governance. And we sit back because we are docile, because we make ourselves shitholes. We are no shitholes. No, say no to this. We are no shitholes. And we stop being shitholes by taking action. And taking the correct action. Following us. The protocols are there. We tell you what to do. You do it.
Thank you very much, Sam.
I'm sorry, I'm being emotional, but that is very important.
Absolutely.
Now, the cost of governance is more than 80% of our national income. 80% of our national income is going into feeding these politicians, right? While more than 50%, 100 million people are living below level of poverty in Nigeria. Billions of dollars are being sent out of Nigeria by these politicians legally because we are paying them that money. Okay? Now, get on the social media, get on Twitter, get on Facebook, get on Instagram, get on WhatsApp, get on Telegram. Spread our information, spread the message. That is a way of being active. Join Ninas and the ethnic bloc. There are 3 main Ninas blocks: Middle Belt, Lower Niger, and Yoruba. Join where you belong, because there are a series of actions being taken that are lined up. Join and be part of it. Now, very important. Let me take it as the last.
These things need resources. NINAS need money to do a lot of these things. Please donate and do fundraising. That money is needed for logistics, for the meetings. Money is needed to do the charter of relationships for multi-ethnic bloc, like Middle Belt, like Lower Niger. There are a lot of ethnic groups there. Charter of relationships have to be done because there can be a minority ethnic group that says, I don't want to block with the other bigger one. Yes, there have to be discussions, there have to be meetings organized. All these things need resources. Please donate. That is what makes us non-shithole. We spend our money to get our target, to get to our resources, to get to our dream. Yeah, changing the narrative within and outside Nigeria. We must be part of changing the narratives. Those in power are calling us secessionists. They will call you secessionists, but you know we are not talking about seceding. We are talking about getting back our sovereignties. When you have your sovereignties, then you can discuss, do I want to federate with this neighbor, or do I want rather not with this my neighbor, but with the other neighbor? That is what it has to be. Okay? We are not. So I will stop so far because if I continue, I might take too much time.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate that rousing and the passion, because that's what's necessary. It is passion that is necessary. As I keep saying to everyone, just think about over 50 million children not having a square meal a day, rags on their backs, shelter where the rain is falling on them and they can't go to school. Do you know how far behind that is? Think about that number, over 50 million children living in abject poverty. Shame on us if we don't do something about that. So next, we're going to talk about mobilization, which is what everyone here is going to be doing. Okay, and we have got Vincent Omwewe, who's going to be talking to us about that. And Vincent is from the South, and he has been very passionate about the NINAS message and taken that message to the people. And after he finishes his conversation, we're going to open up the floor so that we can talk about the relationship in the Lower Niger Federation. What does the Lower Niger Federation really mean? And how are we going to operate together? Okay, because I think that's an important message, because that's that elephant, as they say, that's in the room that we have to have an open conversation about and just talk about it. Thank you very much, Vincent. Welcome. And please, we're very delighted that you're going to be talking to us about mobilization. What are we doing? So everyone can see where they can be part of the solution. Welcome, Vincent.
Thank you very much. I am pleased to be with you all this evening. It is evening in Nigeria.
Vincent,
well,
if you take off your video, Vincent, your voice will be better because you're coming across. So if you take off your video, right, it would be a lot better. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you. It is done.
Yes, much better.
Thank you very much. So I want to say congratulations to all the speakers. I'm so excited being in the midst of this Elite Forum, and I'm here to present a few dimensions on mass mobilization. My name is Pastor Vincent Omwewe. I'm from the South. One of our questioners was talking about involvement of people from the South. I am from that very region. Mass mobilization. What do we mean? We are talking about communicating to people. NINAS is made of various ethnic nationalities. And we have the highlights in every group. And the people, the majority of people need to get the message. For us to be able to pass the message to people, we need to communicate. Communication is only concluded when the person you are talking to has gotten the message. So, Ninas, what message are we going to communicate? We want to look at what is causing pain in Nigeria. As of today, there is pain everywhere in Nigeria. In fact, there is much pain. Political pain and other pains. A pain is what is an inconvenience in your system. Anything that you cannot put up with, you cannot bear in your body is a pain. Nobody wants pain. Worse if the pain is created by another entity for you to bear. So there is much pain in Nigeria, and what is causing the pain in the land today? Simply the answer is the 1999 Constitution. The 1999 Constitution is the reason for all the pain that we are experiencing in the land. The second question I would like to ask and also answer is, who is causing their pain? Is it the Anag? Is it the Edos? Is it the Bibios? Is it the Yorubas? Actually, from what is going on in Nigeria since 1999 to date, the minority Fulanis are the reason for the pain that is ongoing in Nigeria. It has gotten to the extent that these minority Fulanis know that they are a minority. So they have decided to import Fulanis from all over the world, from all over Africa. Of course, they are not everywhere in the world, they are in Africa. And they import them into Nigeria and also have the way of making sure they are identified as citizens of Nigeria. Recently, the governor of Bauchi State had said that a Fulani from anywhere is a Nigerian. And I took that one with a lot of salt. So this kind of pronunciations, they are increasing the pain in the land. How are they keeping the pain ongoing? How are they keeping this pain in a national pain? The pain we feel. I in the south side, I feel much pain. How are they keeping this pain in place? They do this by the political process, the political system, which they have designed for Nigeria, by which we go for general elections every 4 years, and by those general elections, we renew the fate of the people in the 1999 Constitution, which is not a constitution. As somebody has said earlier on, right from 1999, Femi Falana said, Nigeria does not have a constitution. By going into elections every 4 years, we are renewing that 1999 Constitution. That is why we must do everything to shoot down the 1999 Constitution. By that Constitution, they have designed a way of amassing and directing all the wealth of Nigeria to those in power. As other speakers have mentioned, you heard that the National Assembly, over 80% of our income is spent in governance. If 80% of your income is spent in only governance, National Assembly and the executive arms, then what is left for the nation? So this system is not sustainable. We must do something about it, and that's why we are here. Mass mobilization involves us getting to our people in the various groups, our ethnic nationalities, in our villages, in our churches, in our mosques, in our various groups to which we belong, and to spread this message. So we must, as a member of NINAS and a member of this platform, yourself, you must identify with mass mobilization. Each and every one of us is going to play very key roles in mobilizing the followers. Majority of the people have no idea of what we are doing. It is when we mobilize, then we will come in contact one-on-one with many. And we can do this by educating the people, we sensitize the people, and we speak to motivate and energize the masses so that they can rise up and peacefully take what actually belongs to them. We can do this by going to radio stations. We use the radio very well. We use the print media. And please, there's a very effective, powerful system, which is social media. The social media has come to stay. It's a new innovation, and every one of us must learn how to make good use of the social media. We go to marketplaces, office locations, we shall use our brothers and sisters in church to reach churches, and other local organizations like community association. Everybody belongs to one community or the other. You must be able to engage your community. The people in diaspora, we need to educate them and bring them along. Then we also have international partners. You must be able to present to international partners, as one of the speakers has said, from what NINAS has been doing from inception. So this, in a nutshell, is what we are going to involve ourselves with. NINAS is going to provide toolkits for us to be able to be effective in this mass mobilization. We are going to have kickoff meetings, weekly Zoom meetings, our town hall meetings, both virtual and in person. As a person, I can provide a virtual system in my town, in the community town hall, in my village, or in my town, and you could be anywhere in the world and address your people. So that is a powerful way of reaching out. We must be acquainted with the diverse available tools on social media: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp is a fantastic, Telegraph, YouTube. All these are means of getting information to our people. We use radio and podcasts, and we must reach out to Nigeria, the entire country, and those in diaspora. Like I said, our international partners must be kept updated from time to time on what is really going on in Nigeria. At this point, I want to say thank you to the Secretariat who have done so much in reaching out to US and others, and they are quite aware of what is going on. As a pastor, I know I'm going to engage PFN and CAN. These are means of us reaching out to the people. So in a nutshell, and in summary, everyone who is a member of this platform has to get ready to be a mass mobilizer. Materials will come out, and all of us must be involved. You start with your home, to your community, to your organization, to everywhere you can reach. Let this message be everywhere in the next few months. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that great presentation, Vincent. That's really awesome. Just so that all of you know, we do have what we're calling the NINAS Constitutional Force Majeure Elite Trainer Squad. And that's the squad that is presenting today. And it's from everyone hails from everywhere in the Alliance region. We've got everyone from the Middle Belt down to the South. And we are working together, training together, getting each other prepared to present this information and to support those that are going to be presenting the information around the globe. So if you want to be part of this, don't forget, put your information in the chat and tell us that you want to be part of the trainers, the elite trainer squad, and we would contact you for that purpose. Again, this part of the mobilization is really talking about what you and I can do. I had posted out there letting everyone know, besides just doing those things, we need attorneys, we need accountants, we need those who are good at fundraising, we need those who are good at graphics, animation, those who are good at jingles and music and skits, right? We need the IT folks. We need all of that. All your skills that you have are needed, right? Because to run this kind of program that we're trying to do to liberate our people, it's going to need all of our skills. Those of you that are trainers, that know how to develop training, that know how to deliver training, you are called. Okay? So every one of you has got skills. Those that know how to mobilize, you know, that those are that have been part of the political process that have systems in place to get into the villages. We need you. Those young children that are being left behind need you. So please, if you haven't provided your information, do go ahead and do that, because the power belongs to you and nobody else. So now we're going to open this up to questions about anything that we have talked about. But Johnny had raised a comment about the lower Niger, which is the southeast and the south-south. And, you know, we constantly get questions that say, well, you know, should we really be one? Should we be two? You know, and I'm not sure if Ndidi is still here, you know, because she has been sending out information to the lower Niger to kind of clarify for people. Ndidi, are you able to unmute? Are you able to unmute and talk about the Lower Niger Federation for a minute? Can you unmute? Okay, Ndidi, I see you, but I don't know if you're able to unmute or not. But, you know, this is when we're talking about a federation, right? What really is a federation? I see her unmute.
Hi, I unmuted. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Awesome.
Okay. The Lower Niger Federation is a proposed federation of the Southeast and South-South ethnic nations. So the ethnic nations, they come in their official names. So we'd have like Ijon Nation within the Lower Niger Federation. You'd have Igbo Nation within the Lower Niger Federation, etc. It's a proposed federation, and we need the charters of relationships to make it happen. At the moment, we have a Facebook page. You can Google it, but the Facebook page is for us to visualize this Lower Niger Federation, what it's going to look like, and for nation building. So some people have this idea that only countries with one ethnic nationalities can work. I don't know where that idea came from, because all my life I've seen the United States. It's a multi-ethnic nation, and not just multi-ethnic, it's multiracial. So if we take the US, it's got all the ethnic nations of Nigeria, all the ethnic nations of Ghana, Sudan, Somalia, that's just of Africa. Then you do the same China, India, Europe, and they're doing very well. So the Lower Niger Federation would use the same kind of foundation as the United States, which is civic nationalism. That's the same kind of nationalism a multi-ethnic federation like Middle Belt would use, while Oduduwa Nation would use ethnic nationalism because they're mostly one ethnic group. So that's what the Lower Niger Federation is. It's South-South and Southeast together. Each ethnic nation would keep their identity. Each ethnic nation would have autonomy, so that's self-determination in their ancestral land, and they would have resource control. So the lie that Ahmadu Bello gave in 1960 that Igbos would dominate, all these things would not happen. What we're finding is that in the lower Niger Bloc, I'll be very fast because I know we're running out of time. In the lower Niger Bloc, because it's the block that has the oil and gas and the crude oil, it's the block where there's a lot of foreign interference, and not just foreign, but also caliphate can work on the people there to get the people's eyes off the only self-determination group, which is Ninas. And so you've got people wanting to set up their own kingdoms, people using, let's say, the name Biafra, and I'm going to go there. The word Biafra is not acceptable to the United Nations for self-determination. That is the truth, it is a fact. So you need a name that the United Nations will find acceptable, and that's Lower Niger. That's why it's called Lower Niger. It's a temporary name, but it has to be something that United Nations will accept. So in our blog, people have been confused by all these other groups, and that's what's delaying the work in the Lower Niger Federation. And we now need to look for truth, look for reality, and follow the true path. Otherwise, all of us will get consumed by the terrorists. So we need to be truthful, we need to be honest, and we need to act our age and to follow the proper self-determination pathway and leave emotion and sentiment out of it. And if you've been making a mistake and you're following the wrong group, this is the time to correct it and follow the right group. As I said, look, it has to be a name that the United Nations accepts, and Lower Niger is it, and Biafra, they do not. You can look it up yourself. Look it up yourself, yeah? Do a Google and look it up yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ndidi, and I'm so glad that you were there so that you could give us that information. And it's not really about acceptability. It's about, what has been mapped out traditionally as what is an ethnic nationality. Okay, that's what we have to follow. And the name Biafra or any other kind of name, has always been maintained that once we get our freedom, then we can look into what that collectively we can decide what that needs to be. But for right now, we need to go with what's going to get us there. Okay, we've got to take down that 1999 Constitution. We've got to shut down the 2023 elections. Then we got to go to referendums, and then, naming and all of that happens at that point. But the charters of relationships are being worked. Okay, those are being worked. And so you are going to, we're going to have a relationship that is mutual. And again, the Middle Belt to the South, rich in all kinds of resources. We've got all kinds of, our lands are the most, arable lands in the world, pretty much, right? And then we've got the oil, we've got the gold, and we've got all kinds of things everywhere. It's a rich area, okay? So no one's going to be a pauper for being in this space. No one. Everyone's got something that is going for them. Everyone. We've got plants that have medicinal purposes. We've got the white people coming to take our cassava because of its anti-carcinogenic. They're taking our bitter leaf. Guess what? That controls your diabetes. Yeah, that bitter thing that you're throwing away, don't throw it away, drink it. Okay, we've got so much, papaya, all kinds of things. Okay, this is a rich nation. Nigeria should be a rich nation if things are done right. So,
can I say so? Oh, sorry. Regarding the name, I think you clarified, Jen, that the name, when we gain our sovereignty back, referendum is where that name, the people of the region can agree on the name that they go by. It's not going to be, some people are going to say we're proposing a nation called Lower Niger. That's not the thing. A time will come when name becomes the issue, and it will be a collective decision of all the ethnic nationalities in that region as to that name. But the point that he's making is that there is a map to Lower Niger. There's not a map to Biafra. There is a map to Lower Niger right now, because when you
The
Yes.
ethnic nationality map.
Exactly. The ethnic nationality map has a region that is, I think it's an 1886 map or so that was presented to the United Nations. Because when you go to the international body, the United Nations, and you say you want an area, let's say a federation, they have all the ethnic nationalities in the world in their database. They can tell you exactly where they are. You must go to them with a definite map of the territory. The sovereignty starts with a map and ends with a constitution. So when you go in, Lower Niger is how they described that map that has all those ethnic nationalities that are involved in the Lower Niger area. And then when that time comes, when sovereignty comes, everybody can decide and say, maybe we don't like the name Lower Niger, we can call it anything we want at that point, based on agreement. Thank you, just a clarification.
Okay, thank you very much. I see a hand up, Dr. Henry Ogune. So if you can unmute, sir, and ask your question. You need to unmute. And while he's unmuting, that map is the 1885 ethno-linguistic map that's been used.
Yes.
Okay, just unmute. You're going to see like a little microphone. It has a, there you go.
Okay, I mean, you just allowed me to mute myself now before it was locked. And thank you very much for holding this conference. I have to thank my brother, Engineer Sabu Daja, for actually keeping the candle burning. Before I make, there's one thing I want to address. That's the issue of domination in the Lower Niger area. That has been and is and will and may continue being the tool the caliphate is using to divide the South, especially the Lower Niger. Let me address it from a traditional socio-political point of view. In the Lower Niger, for the sake of population, Igbos are the majority. Then let me address the socio-political nature of Igbo land. Igbos are very Republican, not political Republican as defined by the social construction of republicanism, but traditional Republicans, in that an Arrow man, regardless of his wealth, will not be allowed to dominate an Ungwa man. An Abreba man, regardless of his wealth, will not allow to dominate an Mbise man or a man. So also will any other Igbo man aspire to dominate any part of the world. They do their business, they do their everything. They don't dominate other people. They live, they thrive actually by having peace and harmony with their local communities and not dominate them. And let's go back. Those people selling this idea of domination or of Igbo domination are the ones dominating the majority, which makes us ask, who is fooling who? Whether we call it Biafra, Lower Niger, is a matter of semantics. What I want is to coexist peacefully with my Urobo, Ejegam, Efik, Enang, Obubra, Yoruba, Ishekri brothers. I want my TV brothers to do business with their brother from Ebonyi State and Enugu State. I want my brothers in Lagos State to do their Wambe, which I go to always. But to do it without being afraid that what belongs to them will be taken away from them by a superior argument, better technology, but by fears, military or militaristic or conquest power. It's sad we are discussing conquest power in the 21st century. Finally, I think most of our argument has actually been based on resource control. On the resource, we are talking about extractive resources. The last time I checked, Seb, correct me if I'm wrong, we have the database of Nigerians in diaspora. 99.99% of them are from the NNS region. And these are the people leading Nigeria in medicine, in technology, in aviation, in finance, in everything. So even if we have to leave the natural resources area, our human resources, which is going to lead the world in 21st century, is up there.
Yeah, thank you.
When I'm talking about Nigerians in diaspora, we are competing with the best in Europe, the best in America, the best in Japan, the best in Korea, the best in China. So we have what it takes to lead the world in the 21st century and to be a part of the enlightened new world. And anything we do or have to do to liberate our people and not to be pushed back to this medieval age of religious conquest is worth doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is very well said, Doc. That is very well said. Because at the end of the day, there's so much that has been planted, it's ingrained in our brains, all this wrong information. And we've seen the files that have been declassified from England and the things that they did, continued to do. You've even seen in the Francophone countries, they were taking all the money from those African countries and then giving it back to them as a loan, their own money. 75% was going to France. And then they said that Africans cannot develop themselves. Well, let's really think about that. The money that the Western world has been using is the wealth of Africa, is the food out of the mouth of the kids, is the clothing that should have gone on their backs, is their shelter, is their future. Let's not deceive ourselves. We have what it takes. God has given us what it takes in human capital and in just wealth everywhere. We are, seriously, guys, right? We are so blessed. No wonder everyone wants to hold us down, because we are abundantly blessed and we need to fight for what is ours. And this is a time to join Nina's and to do that fighting with our pens, with our walking. Okay? This is the time. Let's not let it slip away from us. Okay? Okay, do we have any other questions? Before we close, do we have any other questions or comments? Doesn't have to be a question. If you have a comment, we'll take that as well. Okay, I see a question from, is that Matthew? M. Atim? If you can unmute and go ahead, 1 minute, because we are over the time.
Mine won't take too long. I'm just an engineer, not a politician, so.
Oh, take your time. Let me tell you.
This is my first meeting here, and I really appreciate and like what I hear. The one question I have, though, for this call to boycott 2023, a question remains: what if we boycott but don't succeed and the elections go on successfully? Where does that leave us?
Does someone want to take that? You know, just going to address the boycott issue. We're not boycotting. What are we doing? Seb, go ahead. Unmute, Seb. Go ahead. Seb, I see your hands up. You can unmute. Yeah, if you can address that. And then after that, Dr. Clifford will speak.
Yes, my brother. Is that Martin or M. Martin? Sorry. Now, we are actually not talking about boycotting. We are talking about stopping that election. That is why I was repeatedly using the abusive word that was used by Donald J. Trump upon us. We have to get up and we have to stop it. We're not boycotting it, we are stopping it. The power belongs to the people. If all of us do what Nina tells us to do, we can stop it. Stop thinking about an option of failure. We are not going to fail because we cannot fail. We have the majority today. Our alliance is the majority of Nigeria. Even that fake, fraudulent constitution has it therein which percentage a candidate must win before he becomes legitimate. Okay? So if we, being the majority, if we do what Nina is guiding us to do, that election will not take place. Period. I hope
Okay,
I've
thank you
answered
very much for that answer, Seb. Dr. Clifford?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's just in line with what Seb said. I just want to kind of more clarity in the sense that what Ninas is talking about is stopping the electoral process, electoral processes. We are not boycotting election. Election boycott is a single day event. And if you read section 134, subsection 2, you find out that your boycott is meaningless. So we are stopping the process. We are going to stop the process. And there's something I mentioned, probably in passing, that we did not take notice of. We are now on the 120 days, which is the last chance we are giving the federal government. And there are three things involved. If all of us can go home with this thing, what I want to say now today, then I'll be very happy. Three things involved. One is sensitization. The other one is mobilization. And then the last one, which is very key and related to the question that our team asked, and that is what? Enforcement. I repeat, enforcement. We are going to have sensitization, mobilization, and then the final one will be enforcement. Anybody can interpret it from whatever angle you want to do, interpret it, and it is what it is. So, my dear brother, we are stopping the electoral process, not even the election. Election is the final thing. The process that leads to the election is what we are stopping. Thank you.
Yes, that is very true. So there will be, I'm sure you guys have seen, the Ilana Modua have started their campaign actually, I think it was last month or towards the end of March, telling all politicians that they need to beware because no one is going to hold any election on Yoruba land for 2023. So we need to move fast because what they're doing is they are trying to mobilize the politicians to start handing out their rice and beans, which is what each citizen is deemed to be worth every 4 years. But we're here to tell those citizens, you see that bag of rice that you're getting? You deserve 1,000 of it, right? $600,000 in salary and allowances. I posted out the link. You guys can check it out. It tells you the cost of governance is the reason for the poverty in Nigeria. Direct connection. It's no way around that. And that 600,000 does not include the gifts. You guys saw how many billion of gifts that were given to the new people that were sworn in when Buhari became president, remember? Remember the gifts that were given to them in the billions, right? What about those discretionary accounts that they have where they don't have to account to anyone? Not that they have to account for anything anyway, given what's in the Constitution as what Clifford mentioned, right? So guys, The people that are robbing you blind, and it is robbing you blind, because right now they cannot say that they don't know, because citizens have been crying out and they're still taking the 600,000 plus every year. And do you know what really just gets me mad? They also take pension at the same time as they're working. If you're working, you're not pensionable. And let's not talk about 4 cars every 4 years for pensioners. Hello? When people don't even have money to get bicycles? 4 cars for one person every 4 years? No. Even if we didn't have that 1999 Constitution, people, and if that's going on, this has to be the people's revolution, just like they had the French Revolution. Because the same situation, the monarchs were riding in their carriages, actually driving over the poor people that had fallen because they didn't have any food to eat. They just drove over them.
It's also very important to point out because a lot of people who are using politics, who are sitting under the banner of politics and saying, let's go to election, let's go to election. It's for the politicians to know that what we are doing is not out to destroy politics. We are changing the platform upon which politics is played. In other words, a different sovereignty, a different system, a different constitution, where the honest individuals can come and play politics. And everything that we are after is going to end in a democracy where people are going to get to vote. There's going to be governors, there's going to be senators, there's going to be congressmen. That is actually where we are headed, a democracy. Whatever is going to come out of NINAS, it's going to be a democracy. So people who are sincere about representing their people should be enthusiastic about what NINAS is doing. Because what we have currently, the platform upon which this nation sits, is a very dangerous one, a very precarious one. When you look at a building, I have built houses. I've built a bungalow, I've built storied buildings. And what I have done, what I've found is that when you start, the first law of building is the foundation. Make sure the foundation can carry what you are building. Because if you put anything on top of, you're building upstairs and you put a foundation for a bungalow, it's going to crash. The constitution upon which Nigeria sits is not able to carry the kind of civilization that we want. It cannot carry it. That's why it is producing the poverty capital of the world, and a place where people are running away. So you look at the political class. I have supported candidates. I remember a candidate I supported in Imo State for governorship, and when I would take him to different places to speak. And when I got there, people would just tell me, this is your friend. This man is the most qualified man for this job, but he has no money. And for that reason, he can't be governor. I said, Johnny, be serious. And you know what? When the time came for the primary, it was the money people that won. It was not the most brilliant guy among them, one who has shown the ability to organize and run a state. It is those guys that are throwing the money around. That is the kind of platform that our politics is played on. So those people who, my father was a member of parliament in Eastern Region. That was a time when the patriots gathered and worked, and they built that amazing Eastern Region.
Johnny,
you see,
yes.
Yes. So I want to clarify that we are not ending politics. If your reason for not supporting NINAS is you like politics, just wait. You're going to enjoy politics when it is played on a just, sincere platform that serves the people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone else have a comment that they want to make? We're kind of running out of time, and we keep running over time for Njenje, and he's been very patient with us. Anybody else have a comment or question before we end? Okay, thank you all so very much. We really appreciate you being here. And we have provided our contact information. And for those of you that have provided your contact information, we will be sending you information on how to be part of the process. Again, every hand is needed. All your skills are needed. Graphic designers, right? Videographers, photographers, all of that is needed. And so don't feel like, well, I'm a farmer and so I don't have a place. Yes, you do, because we have to come up with alternative farming strategies. So yes, you are needed. So please, you have our information. It's freedomfromnigeria@gmail.com. It's info@ninasffn, that's NINASFFN.org. And then our website is www.freedomfromnigeria.com. That's easy to remember. Or www.ninasffn.org, which is freedomfromnigeria.org. And we also have the Lower Niger on Facebook. We've got the Ninas on Facebook. We've got the Lower Niger Federation on Facebook, Ilana Modua on Facebook, and also have the website. So do avail yourself of that information and become the walking poster for our people. Reach out to your families back home. Reach out to your alma mater, to your organizations, and bring them on board, because that's what it's going to take. Okay, so please, if you provided your information, we'll be reaching out to you so that we can get you linked up to the right place. And actually, it's going to end up being the right places, because you probably have more than one thing that you are going to be able to do. So thank you again all very much. I'm just going to say a short prayer and then we are free to go. And please, if we can unmute everyone so that they can, say their hellos and their goodbyes, would be awesome. Father, we just want to thank you. Father, we just give you the praise and we give you the honor for this meeting today. Thank you, Father, for those that asked questions. Thank you for those that presented the information. Thank you for those that listened and then provided comments. Father, we just ask that this message would spread, that this message would spread far and wide, and so that which you have promised your children would come to pass. Because we know that you've done it already. We just have to walk the path to get there. We each have to do our part. So please, Father, we just ask that you give us the strength, that you protect our families, that you protect those back home who are defenseless, the defenseless mothers and children and the elderly, Father, that this murderous groups are out to get. Father, we just ask for that victory that you have promised us. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen and amen and amen. Okay, so I'm not sure who, everyone can unmute. And so you guys can say your hellos and your goodbyes.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Zeb, thank you.
Nice to see you,
Thank you all very much. Thank you all. Chief Obi is Thank you, Weekend.
Thank you.
Down from Mainz, Germany.
Thank you,
Frank.
Frank. And then thank you, Bola. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you all very much. Thank you guys. We become part of the elite trainer squad. Thank you, August. I see you waving over there.
Contact me.
Again, Aisha, thank you very much, and thank you for your
let me slot you in.
good questions. Lassie, Ayo, thank you very much for joining us. I'm not sure who Icon is. I think Henry Ogarak. Thank you. Ikeme for Naonya, you are welcome. I see,
my pleasure. Recovery for the next few months.
Welcome. Anthony Chibuzo, you are welcome. Comrade,
thank you very much. Thank you.
So, thank you all again, Seb. Thank you very much. Great job, everybody. Great job.
I'm happy to see you.
Obanubi, thank you very much.
Nice to see you, Seb. Yeah, sorry, I'm just I'm just relaxing on the couch, but I'm listening.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sonny Lambe.
Thank you.